to Lawrence, Kansas. Pregame.tv features the matchup in the Big 12 between Iowa State and the Kansas Jayhawks. Iowa State laying 6 on the road, a total of 48. This one's my best bet, and we'll get to that in just a minute, Marco. But, Turner Gill, I thought, got the shaft. He was there for 2 years. He was shown the door. Charlie Weiss comes in. I don't think it's an upgrade. I think Charlie Weiss, you look at Peter Principal, you'll see him as a good coordinator, but you're not going to see him as a good head coach. I just think he's in over his head as a head coach in college football. But he's got his team showing fight. I like the way they look. They took Oklahoma State, Texas, both to the wire. They played well on the offensive end last week, took Texas Tech to the wire in Lubbock, and they played TCU pretty well. What do you think about this one, Iowa State and Kansas?
Well, I'm not sure which side you're going to be on here, but I know Kansas is going to get a lot of love the way they've been playing, and now they're at home. They're home underdog. Iowa State, not a team that you would want to lay points with on the road, but I think that Kansas, in the last few weeks, they have played much more competitive. But my concern is, do you think part of that is teams looking past them because Kansas has been bad for so long?
I think it goes for both teams, but maybe a little bit more for Kansas than it does Iowa State. I think it goes for both teams, though, that the top upper echelon teams of the Big 12 are going to say, okay, well, here's a win if we just play our game.
Because, when's the last big win Kansas has had in the Big 12? Where at least Iowa State has pulled off some upsets the last couple of years, especially just talked to Oklahoma State last year, cost them the national championship game. But I like Iowa State here, and the reason I'm looking at them is I don't think they're going to take Kansas for granted, and they've got something to play for. They're going for a bowl game. They need one more win to become bowl eligible, and I know you don't like to take teams in must-win situations because you're generally paying a premium with the Vegas line,
sure.
But I think because of what we saw from Kansas the last couple weeks and the fact that they were 24-point underdog last week and go to Texas Tech and take them to overtime, I think there's going to be a little bit of an overreaction, and that's why the line, we got a road favorite, but this line could have been more, in my opinion.
I think it was a little more on Sunday, but I think it moved the right direction. My power ratings actually made this 3.5. Iowa State 3.5 points better in Lawrence, Kansas than the Kansas Jayhawks. And at this point of the season, when I'm 3 or 4 points off a number with my power ratings, it becomes a video best bet at the very least. As far as Paul Rhodes is concerned, I like the job he's done at Iowa State. And if he moves on to Arkansas, like some of the rumors are saying right now, then it's a big loss for Iowa State and a big coup, I think, for the Arkansas Razorbacks. But this year, he's been forced to use 3 different quarterbacks. And when you're forced to use 3 different quarterbacks, it means nobody is, putting their head above the pack, so to speak, or getting out in front of the other guy. And I think that's their biggest problem right now and why they've looked sluggish this season. But anyway, this one is my best bet. Again, as I started to say, we see improvement out of the Kansas Jayhawks each week under Charlie Weiss, or I should say despite the fact Charlie Weiss is the coach. But at least he gets his team focused for games each and every week. And I think he's going to have his team sold that this is a game that they should win in Lawrence, Kansas. Here's the big reason why I think Iowa State's in a tough role this week. They've given up 65 first downs and nearly 1,200 yards of offense the last 2 weeks combined because they haven't had their star linebacker, all Big 12, future NFLer, Jake Knott. He's not going to be in this game. He's got a shoulder injury. He hasn't played the last couple of weeks, and this isn't the same Iowa State team that upset some of those teams you're talking about over the last couple of years because of that loss of defense. So I'm going to take the Kansas Jayhawks plus the points over Iowa State, my video best bet. When we come back, we're going to hear from the guy at the end of the set, Bryan Leonard. He's going to be talking about USC and UCLA. Stick around. More pregame.tv.